Okay, so if you guys are living under a rock, Qwelver got I've let the video just explained for you, and then I'll talk about my opinion. Hold on, real quick. Pepper Pop. They're both on TikTok and YouTube. Okay, so videos. Hold on.
And just be warned, there is even more that came out for the Qwelver situation since yesterday. For everyone that's confused about the situation, I'll explain it all in detail.
Duck Adam.
Hey guys, it's me, Duck Adam. This is a video going over a voice chat that occurred in August 4th, 2024, 2 months before Rock Serpent was fired from Blush Crunch Studios. This voice chat, as a quick discussion over it, is one that explains Jake's actions clearly to Qwel 2 months before firing him, and she, of course, lies about this never happening, and of course about not knowing the information that she clearly gained through this call. As a quick content warning, this video will be discussing topics such as grooming, CP, Qwelver, and all sorts of awful things. And if you are uncomfortable with such, there will be a TLDR and a transcript linked in the not linked, but in both the description and the pinned comment. I'd also like to give thanks to Chip and others, like the good chum, Qual knows who it is, that helped me get this video, and other people for helping in this video's creation. So, good job, guys.
Send it. It's
Yeah.
censored, but less censored.
Yeah.
The people talking there are X-Trill and Void. I think it's Void. It sounds like Void.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a drawing by Rock Serpent depicting an adult and a minor, both fictional characters, unlike his other art, which are both depictions of real people and both minors. Right? This is one in
Pause for a little bit. If you guys want to see the original videos, I'll link the original videos in the description.
a pretty small series. There's one other art depicting these two characters. It's pretty disgusting. What is notable is that it is sent here and it is very little cropped. It's hardly censored, and it's pretty obvious exactly what it is. And as you'll see, it is explained exactly to Qwel.
Like I said, it's deplorable.
Rock Serpent admitting that this art is bad.
I'm not going to sit here.
So, okay, I'm trying to get the context of what's going on. Both of these were minors. Is that what you mean?
Okay, in this drawing, it is an adult and a minor. Shinzu, the person speaking, is getting it confused with a other art by Rock Serpent, made under the exact same context as this one, as will be mentioned shortly. Although that art depicts two minors, being Gary and another anonymous victim.
One was an adult, one was a minor.
Rock Serpent admitting that this drawing depicts an adult and a minor, which does make it child pornography.
Oh.
Yeah, the Gary stuff was both minors.
Extra explaining what the Gary stuff is, so.
Yeah, that was the Gary stuff.
Okay.
Rock Serpent admitting that the, quote, Gary stuff, aka his other child pornography, does depict two minors.
Okay, yeah, which was the Stickman stuff.
The Stickman stuff is a sort of lie that Qwel uses. It is fairly true for much of the art he had drawn, especially in some contexts where it was pretty poorly drawn, but that doesn't take away from the fact exactly what the art is, CP, because it depicts two minors engaging in sexual act. It doesn't matter on the skill or detail added by the artist, it matters on what the art actually is.
But this wasn't... Huh. I don't know how I feel. Shit, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that drawing. I'm guessing...
It's pretty bad.
Rock Serpent saying it's pretty bad in reference to pretty much all of his art, not only the one shown, because You know, that's kind of the one he's more directly referring to. But again, the rest of his art is pretty disgusting. Rock Serpent here admits it is bad.
It's pretty bad.
I'm guessing the one with their tongue sticking out is the minor.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Oh my god.
Rock Serpent admits that fact. So pretty much admitting that, yeah, it is CP because it shows a minor in a sexual act.
Yeah, that's not good. That's
It's disgusting.
That is Qwelver speaking. That is her saying directly that it is disgusting and that she is not a fan of this art. So why did she keep him around for 2 months? The biggest detail is exactly what this disproves. A message from Qwel in her response to Parlo says that she hadn't known the full context of this art, even though in this exact call, she has the exact context explained to her. Right? That being that it was made for someone else, that it's CP because it depicts an adult and a minor, as well as talking about other art that depicts a minor on a minor, right? And yet she didn't think it was bad at all, even when she saw one of the most in-detail drawings. And of course, as known by the Spookener messages, she was likely, and I say likely loosely because she like 100% did, years ago, that she was made aware of art Jake had drawn depicting Gary and another minor, as shown by her DMs with Spookener and what Spookener had told him. Something that always pissed me off was, you know, people always thinking, oh, and Qwel trying to say this herself, that it's not reliable because it's just Spookener's word, even though this is his direct responses to Qwel in a VC, right? Only that his messages were archived. And of course, he tells Hilo that exact knowledge that he had gained from Qwel, which would result in what would come.
But as I've told you, and I'll say to X here, I obviously vowed to never draw shit like that ever again. And obviously, I myself don't support it. This was only drawn for this person.
This is technically true. Rock Serpent did well, actually not really. After this point, well, in the VC, he hadn't drawn porn for quite some time. The last time he did was some pretty disgusting stuff on the Rock Serpent archive. However, that is not public because it's just gross, right? Though it does depict sexual assault. He is telling the exact truth about what this art is, that being that it was made for someone else, being Octo Trooper and the Octo Gang, right? So he's not lying here. He's telling the direct truth, and Qwel is here to understand that and is actively displayed that she is uncomfortable with the art, yet she does decide to keep Jake around knowing this fact. And because she knows this and that, you know, it's all this, right? She knows that this is art depicting an adult and a minor. It's unreasonable that it takes a far less awful drawing, I'm comparing CP here, to have him fired, because frankly, it wasn't the art that had him fired. It was more or less the fact that they were caught in what they were doing, right? It was obvious what that was. So Qwel had to save her own ass there and fire Rocks before people started looking into her more. And of course, with people being content with only having Rocks fired. Not understanding that Qwel is an enabler and has allowed this from Jake for far longer, has actively supported him, and is just a bad person. Now, another thing I'd like to go into detail about is her lying about her involvement with Rock Serpent's videos. So the third video, our final response, it's pretty obvious how she helped with that video. That being within her, you know, having a segment within the video where she not only slanders a bunch of people, just lies straight through her teeth. When you know anything, you know she's lying throughout that whole segment, right? However, it is her first video that is the most important. The first video they made, an answer to allegations, I believe it's called, right? That one, in her response to Parlo, she said that she was working while Jake was doing that. However, I'd like to say what work, but also she was helping with the thing. She helped name it. She gave him feedback. She was the part of the reason he even made it in the first place. And technically, a Duck Adam video was too, so that's kind of cool. I'd like to thank the people who helped me with this video, being Chip and others. Quell knows exactly who one of them is, and I know it's gonna keep her up at night. We're gonna have another nightmare, huh? That's a niche reference. Anyway, that's all, and I thank you guys for the support on this video, or maybe not support. All I want is that you guys take this into account more, that Quell did know exactly what Jake had done, as shown in this call, and a lot of other clips from this call. The existence of this call just proves that, yeah, she did know what he did before firing him. And, you know, the Spookener DMs also show that as well. Because, frankly, she is one of the biggest reasons that Jake got away with everything for so long. And truly, I don't think someone like her, an opportunistic liar, should be platformed whatsoever. With your
Okay, so basically, what I understood from that is basically that Quell obviously knew what Vox was doing the entire time. I forgot to mention that Vox would be included in this video, but she knew what Vox was doing, basically, and she lied about like her not knowing, which is the reason like why Jake was staying in the team for so long. But still, this we actually have some other lies through DMs. Let's read. This is from Qwelver. Yeah, he legit pinned a death threat of me. Some other lies. Just know. I hate Danny's world. It's not a horror game. There's no horror. It's just a church. It's I don't understand. So oh my gosh. I am not gonna read this because this is a family kind of yeah, I'm not gonna read this Yappuccino. I'm not gonna listen to this Yappuccino. Just so you know, you can check out the video itself. But let's go back to where we were.
In detail with evidence from both Chip. There is even more that came out for the Qwelver situation since yesterday. For everyone that's confused about the situation, I'll explain it all in detail with evidence from both Chip, who was one of Rox's victims, and Rox himself. Just before we start, Rox is jaking these screenshots, so don't get confused. I'll also be explaining in the order of events, and just be warned, this situation heavily involves both CP and manipulation. In June of 2021, Qwelver informed other people that Rox produced drawings of CP of actual minors. Yes, I said actual minors. In December of 2021, someone warned Qwelver that Rox was a creep and even begged her to unfriend him. And, as we know, Qwelver stayed friends with Rox afterward despite this and had him help create things for both Flavor Frenzy in 2022 and Danny's World in 2024. Flavor Frenzy was created on April 11th of 2022. On August 9th of 2023, Rox decided to make a response video to prove that he, quote-unquote, wasn't a groomer. Qwelver helped name this video, gave him feedback, and was a part of the reason why he even made it in the first place. Danny's World then came out on January 25th of 2024, when Rox was creating character models and assets for the game, all while Qwelver was aware of how disgusting he was. 2 months before Qwelver fired Rox in October of 2024, Qwelver was in a call with Rox and 3 other people in August of 2024, where Rox showed the CP that he drew, explained that it was an adult and a minor, and even admitted that he had more drawings of minors doing these things. Qwelver herself called it disgusting. disgusting and was obviously aware of it. 2 months later, in October of 2024, Qwelver fired Rox as the community started to talk more and more about it. The community obviously had questions and asked Qwelver about why she had a groomer and someone who drew CP on her team. Qwelver responded, saying that she had no idea about the drawings and that the ages weren't stated to her until that day. However, the call in August shows that she obviously knew about the ages, and she knew about him drawing CP since 2021. On October 6th of 2024, Qwelver told Rox to keep her friended and to stay in a contact server, along with telling him to keep his head held high and how it's okay to cry, which is being friendly to someone who is obviously a groomer and a confirmed CP artist because she saw it for herself.
Okay, so you guys can check out the rest of the video. Wait, no.
On the 10th of October in 2024, she stated that she had no idea that he was a groomer, despite knowing that he was a creep, again, since 2021, and saw the CP multiple times, and still allowed him on her team for years before firing him. This was said 4 days after telling him to stay in contact with her after she fired him. On April 21st of 2025, she said that if she knew the full story with Rox, she wouldn't have left with him. Again, lying about her not knowing that he was a disgusting creep, which she had known since 2021. And again, it was clearly shown to her by Rox himself 2 months before she fired him. She also said that she couldn't have known about the situation when it was swept under the rug multiple times, when she was part of the people who were doing that. Okay, so after this part, I had another segment in the video, but it turns out after I finished recording this that there's even more to the story. Sam was someone that was friends with Qwelver up until around May of 2025. They split because Sam was found to be in pro-shipping spaces. However, Qwelver was extremely aware of the fact that they were actively being groomed into it while they were friends, and actually still was up until around April of this year. Qwelver decided instead of removing themselves and removing the groomer from the picture, she decided to record them venting about being groomed into pro-shipping, cut them off, and then villainize them to show the recording to their friends. Another victim of the situation then testified of being aware that Sam and Qwelver were close. A former member of the Blush Crunch studio has also come out and said that Qwelver is notorious for ducking out of situations and refusing to aid the staff team. I will be reading directly from their posts. Mods and admins had to essentially beg Qwelver to involve herself in the moderation process, and a lot of the time we try to give her the benefit of the doubt, considering she has such a big game to be working on and all, but it got to the point where it felt genuinely and deliberately neglectful, almost as if it were her intention to turn a blind eye whenever something serious or complex went down, which left the team to fend for themselves. This was a major problem, because it seemed that, and even now, members of the community only ever seemed quelled by official statements from Qwelver herself. As staff team members, we hardly felt respected or taken seriously. She is more willing to be compliant and passive, not just within the situation regarding Rox, but any negative situation involving staff, herself, the game, the server, anything. Her tactic is to go silent and allow anybody else to take the brunt of it. Accountability is her greatest enemy. It does not surprise me at all that she has chosen to remain silent and locked down the Discord server instead of taking action, saying something, doing anything that matters. She will run this into the ground because it works. Prolonged silence makes people forget. So, for the people defending Qwelver and saying that this is drama being resurfaced for no reason, I want to say that the community was not aware that Qwelver knew about the situation with Rox and was actively lying about it over and over again. We weren't aware of that until 6 days ago. The community really just wanted to hold her accountable, as it is clear that she was aware of it and allowed him into a community full of children. As Chip puts it, her being manipulated and her still needing to take responsibility can coexist. She still kept him around even when he was caught for being weird to someone in Blush Crunch. She didn't do anything about it until the last minute. It's not some gotcha card, it's the fact that she never told us. It has been 6 days since Duck_Adam's video, with no response from Qwelver. Blush Crush's Discord server was deleting almost any message that was talking about the situation, and on the 18th, Blush Crunch removed the ability to talk in it at all. However, it is important to keep in mind not to harass any of the Discord server staff, as they are most likely finding out about all this at the same time that we are, and they have to moderate 1 million members all at once who are talking about a situation with sensitive topics. I think it's safe to say that anything Qwelver says at this moment probably won't fix what's going on. I mean, not to be the bearer of bad news, but she is a horrible person, as we've seen. The evidence just keeps stacking more and more every single day, and it's really getting to a point where it's just insane that she hasn't said a single thing about it. Of course, you guys can have your own thoughts and opinions about it, but personally, after seeing all of this, I am going to take a step away from the community and the fandom in general, because I really just don't want to support somebody like that. You could always be the person to like separate the art from the artist or whatever, but I'm not really like that when it comes to situations like this. I will be making videos updating on the situation if anything else comes out, but until then, hopefully Qwelver says something. There's no new updates on the Qwelver situation, and she still hasn't responded yet, but a lot of people are saying that they aren't sure what they should do or how they should interact with the content that she's made anymore, so I would like to give some guidance. If you didn't know already, I made an entire 7-minute video of the situation with Qwelver and Rox that explains everything, and exactly what Qwelver did wrong. So if you aren't aware of the situation, I urge you to watch it. Firstly, the most important thing that we need to do as a fandom is to stop playing Dandy's World, and stop buying merch from the official website. I know that this is hard to hear, but playing the game gives Qwelver money, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid, until she either comes out with a statement, or gives the studio to someone else. Instead, play modded versions of the game or other alternatives, such as these. I know it's not the same, and a lot of people probably spent a lot of hours on the actual game, but not playing will urge her to push out a statement faster. Secondly, please spread the correct information across different platforms. A lot of information from the situation is coming from X, which a lot of people may not have, and I've seen a lot of information being spread around that's just false. A lot of people aren't aware of how terrible the situation is and the depth of it, and I've seen a ton of people saying that it's just old information being resurfaced, when it's way, way more than that. Another incredibly important thing to do is to support all of the victims in this. Chip is one of Rox's victims and has been especially helpful with the information that I provided in the last video, and it really saddens me that the victims have to go through all this again because Qwelver lied to the entire community. Lastly, it is okay to still make content about the characters if you wish. Danny's World has a huge community that has found incredible comfort in the characters, and I'm aware that it's hard to stop loving them or let them go entirely. You can continue to make and draw videos, but don't play the actual game, and make sure that you're aware of the situation. This is an incredibly hard time for everyone, and as someone who had the game finished and spent hundreds of hours playing, and spent a lot of money on the game and the merchandise, I will admit that the situation really breaks my heart. I found so much comfort in the game and the fandom, but it's really hard to do that now since we're aware of everything. And it is completely okay to feel that way. Take time away from the fandom if it overwhelms you, and remember, stay safe.
Okay, so basically, Qwelver lied to the community about walks, and saying that she didn't know, but I think the people pop also said about manipulation. Okay, so as I was saying, I think the queen said something about manipulation. I feel like the pepper puffs also said something about manipulation from walks. But this time I'm gonna take the victim side actually. So, and realistically, what Quill knew about the situation, if I remember the video correctly. For 2021, she knew that rocks literally draws CP. So I'm gonna end the video here. I'm gonna link the videos in the description, and see you guys another time.